Mining Foundation, which he joined in 2016. Responsible Mining Foundation is an independent research organization that encourages continuous improvement in responsible mining across the industry by developing tools and frameworks, sharing published interest data, and enabling informed and constructive engagement between mining companies and other stakeholders. Prior to joining Responsible Mining Foundation, Pierre worked in mines across 3 continents as a mining engineer specialized in blasting and technical optimization. He studied in Lille in France and University of Manchester in UK and holds a Master of Science in Engineering. He will give us some insights in research of harmful impact of mining. Pierre, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Joachim. And let me share my screen with you all. I hope you can see my screen now. Well, first, thanks a lot to ESA Mining, to you, Joachim, Ricardo, Helmut, also Katharina at the Secretariat for the invitation and the opportunity to share some research and insights that we've gained over the year. So I'll go very quickly on, some of the basic features and aspects of what we do to get straight to the point of today's presentation around the harmful impacts of mining, but most of all the prevention of these harmful impacts. So the Responsible Mining Foundation was really built on the vision that responsible mining should benefit the economies, improve the lives of peoples, and respect the environments of producing countries. We were established slightly before the UN Sustainable Development Goals were finalized, but we believe this is quite a good summary of how the SDGs apply to the mining sector. One of our main tools has been the Responsible Mining Index framework, the RMI framework, which was an attempt, and I think now a successful attempt at articulating what society in general, society at large, expect from a responsible mining company. It is available in 7 languages now. It's been revised a number of times. This is the 3rd edition now, the version 2022. And it was really developed from the perspective of all the potential impacts that mining could have on economies, environment, workers, surrounding communities, and the systems, procedures, performance tracking measures that should be implemented by companies. And I think it's quite similar to the attempt, and again, I think the successful attempt by ESA to use practical language and develop indicators that will talk to anybody and that will talk also to a mine manager in simple and practical language. So we cover 6 thematic areas on economic development, business conduct, life cycle management, community well-being, working conditions, and environmental responsibility. And we have 3 transversal issues that cross-cut these thematic areas, namely climate, gender, and human rights. And we've really tried hard to embed and frame our indicators around standard good management practices, as shown here on this well-known cycle of the plan, do, check, act, continuous improvement wheel. So we use different names. We talk about commitments, action, effectiveness, but it's all about ensuring continuous improvement in delivering responsible mining. And I won't go through all the details, but what I find very interesting, what I found very interesting when looking at the kind of indicators we have on workers' safety, health, and well-being, Well, we have a combination of commitments, joint committees on occupational health and safety, specific measures for women workers, data disclosure, setting targets, continuous improvement, skills transfer, collaborative decision making, and one in all, it just sort of the exact same thing as the 7 golden rules. Here again, we're talking about commitments, risk assessment, defining targets, skills transfer, motivate by participation. So it just seemed very natural for the Responsible Mining Foundation to join ESA Mining last year. And this framework is a public good. It's there for free. Anyone can use it. I said it's in 7 languages. But we ourselves apply it independently every 2 years to assess the performance of 40 of the largest mining companies in the world, including listed companies, not only, also state-owned enterprises, private companies. So these are some of the biggest, most resourced mining companies in the world. And we assess their capacity to demonstrate with the support of evidence to anyone that they're actually meeting these different requirements or these expectations. And a lot of these indicators are fully aligned with ILO conventions, the work of trade unions, and requests from mine workers, which again I think is on the same page as what the Vision Zero was trying to do, to use language that anyone can understand, but at the end of the day reflect international conventions and agreements on workers' safety and well-being. And I just want to share one slide before I get to the point around the harmful impacts of mining. But these are the preliminary results of our 2022 edition that we will publish next year. So for now, we don't see the name of the companies. This is an anonymous chart, but each bar represents one of the 40 largest mining companies in the world. And these are the aggregate score on working conditions. And you see the scores are still very low in terms of what they can demonstrate regarding the commitments they make. I think they're almost all, there in terms of commitment, but when it comes to action and tracking performance, reviewing your performance, implementing corrective action plans, there's still a long way to go. And that brings me to the next point, which is the harmful impacts of mining. In a sense, the Responsible Mining Index and a lot of the work that has been done on responsible mining focuses on the good practices, the leading practices, the continuous improvement, what can be done in the mining industry. But unfortunately, there's still a huge proportion and a large amount of occurrences of harmful impacts that happen, whether it's to workers, polluting environments, impacts on economies, corruption cases, biodiversity, contribution to climate change, and so on. And we had done similar research in 2018 and 2020, looking at sort of the other side of the coin. But we realized that it needed its own report, trying to cover a comprehensive range of harmful impacts. Because in a way, this is why the Responsible Mining Foundation exists and why there's so many initiatives around mining right now, because there are problems in the industry. So this report is based on public domain information, covers corporate reports, government reports, court cases, independent reports, media, newspapers, and so on. It's available in 7 languages. And some of the key findings I want to share with you, and by the way, the presentations will be available, I think, afterwards, so you'll have more time to look into, some of the recommendations that are towards the end of the presentation. But what really stood out, again, was the high prominence of impacts on workers. You can see in this word cloud, such the big proportion of worker fatalities, still very high, occupational diseases that tend to get underreported, workers' injuries, and other issues. And remember that here we're talking about 40 of the largest mining companies. So this is a small sample. They only own about 1,000 mine sites among the, I think the recent estimate from RMG Consulting was between 25 and 30,000 mine sites in operations around the world, not counting, informal sites, small cooperative type activities and so on. But still, it tells a story. And in terms of key findings, I think comparing the findings of the research itself with the work we do with the Responsible Mining Index, it's just clear and evident that these impacts are not inevitable. And I think it goes back to what Jose Raul was presenting, where there are measures to be taken, but these are not inevitable. And I really liked Helmut. Thanks for sharing this video. I think from Zambia, so creative. And again, I think most organizations and workers do believe, with reason, that we can prevent harm. And it is in everyone's interest, the workers and the communities, of course, but also the companies, has Helmut reminded us with figures that speak for themselves, governments and the financiers that are behind either providing the capital, the loans, or the shareholders of these companies. And the industry seems to know what is needed for prevention because the leading practices are here. We have the Vision Zero, we have the standards, we have the good practices. But now the lessons need to be applied systematically and proactively. So companies should not wait for a catastrophe to happen before taking measures. And this is something we've also seen in this report, where there have been quite a number of cases where we had to wait for a catastrophe before the companies actually conducted, internal reviews, external audits, and realized there were so many flaws and problems how the business was run. And I think this has been said in the previous session, but preventing harm calls for courageous leadership. We're going to need the willingness and the leadership from mining companies, but also from other actors, including regulators, inspection bodies, to make this the most important issue, I think, before short-term economic considerations. I have a few more finding slides I want to share with you. I think I have 1 more minute. An important thing was also to realize how a number of issues get underreported by companies. So on the left-hand side, you see the kind of issues that we only found information in media reports, government reports, civil society work, and that covers things like occupational diseases, injuries, attacks on communities, child labor, bribery and corruption, whereas worker fatalities and water pollution, workers' injuries tend to be reported in a quite standardized way by companies. So we'd like to shift this wave to make sure companies also own more of the negative impacts, because if you don't measure and report on them, it's going to be very hard to improve. And one last chart on, again, just to show how, reporting worker fatalities is the first way. It gets almost all green. So companies do report on worker fatalities. But when you look at occupational diseases, long-term impacts on workers, sometimes post-retirement, we still see most companies don't report publicly. They may be tracking it. Some of them we know actually don't do it at all. But it doesn't get to public reporting, which is a problem. And the issue of the contractors workers, which we just discussed before, is another critical aspect. So I'll stop here. You'll find some recommendations in the report and in the presentation. Thank you again for your attention, and I look forward to the Q&A session. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you much for your brief presentation. It's really to the point. And we will collect the questions by the chat. I think there are a lot of questions. but we collect them, and then at the end of the session, we will go in Q's and A's and then raise all the questions. What is the background of the index, etc. So we will continue with the next presentation. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Mireia Rifa Fabreguet. I hope that's correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ah, wonderful. So you are accredited and certified health and safety compliance auditor. You are in the business and have experience of more than 15 years in the management and change management with a focus of prevention culture. You're a specialist for communication and implementation of health and safety programs for small and medium enterprises. As part of your work, you do trainings specialized in health and safety assessments. You're a board member of ENSHPO, a European network for more than 50,000 health and safety professionals. I think you will give us more insights on your work and on ENSHPO. Mireia, we like to hear your speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
I will share my screen first thing. Can you see?
Yes.
My screen? Okay, perfect. First of all, I would like to congratulate the ESA Mining section for these 50 years. Only with hard work, effort, commitment, and enthusiasm, it is possible to endure over the time. So my most sincere congratulations. I am so pleased to be here today for the presentation of this ambitious project that Vision Zero Initiative and ENSPO are jointly developing. My name is Mireia Rifa Fabreguet, and I am representing of ENSPO board member, the European Network of Health and Safety Professionals Organization. And I would like to introduce briefly what is ENSPO. Okay. ENSPO, as I have said, is the European Network of Health and Safety Professionals Organization. Was established in United Kingdom in 2001 under the umbrella of EU-OSHA, as there was a perceived need for all the European health and safety professionals to be represented and have a single voice. In 2019, for operational reasons, it was agreed to move our headquarters from the United Kingdom to Germany in the city of Wiesbaden. At the same time, and given of the relevance of that it was acquiring the environment, like the European Green Deal, we decided to introduce the environment at work in our statutes. Who we are? Our mission is to provide qualified reference to us professionals and to be a stakeholder from the EU regulators. And our vision is to be the leading voice of the EH professionals in Europe, promote safety, health, and environment protection at work. Currently, we have 16 members, with other ones waiting to join. Our members are not only belong to the European Union, but represent continental Europe. And we also have international agreement with various associations and institutions, either through our members and through our own agreement as ENSPO, ISCO, and so on. ENSPO has been linked to the Vision Zero initiative since its launch in 2017. We were in Singapore and signed the letter of agreement. Since then, in all our activities, we have been promoting Vision Zero initiative. During the course of the A+A Congress in 2019, the idea of developing a guide with the same principles and values of Vision Zero, but linked to the environment, was raised in several conversations. And the first year of pandemic, at the beginning of 2021, talks were resumed and the project became a reality. ENSPO set up an international working group with several requirements were put to the participants. They have to be health and safety professionals. They have to have experience and knowledge about environment in their curricula, and they have to have experience of knowledge about Vision Zero initiative. The countries that were represented in that group were Poland, Italy, Austria, and Denmark, and Spain. The Vision Zero initiative has a clear focus on people, which is why, in addition to safety, health, and well-being, the need to introduce an environmental perspective into the workplace cannot be overlooked, as the influence of the environment, especially on the health of workers, is another determining factor when assessing working conditions and well-being at work. So, since now we thought that Vision Zero has 3 legs, safety, well-being, and health, and we want to introduce the 4th leg, environment. But don't make a mistake. We are not talking about environment in a general way. We are not talking about to combat the climate change or to reforestation, although we can application will help in their recovery. The Vision Zero Environment Guide is about the application of basic principles of environmental protection that affected the workplace. We are talking about environment at work, and what is our aim or our goal with this guide? All environmental hazards can be under control to reach zero impacts. Environment protection is possible and achievable. And we are talking about, and remember that, but this is a very important thing that to remember when we get the guide, is that we are talking about environment at work, nothing else. Taking environmental protection into account means being sustainable in our business practices. We can talk from the smaller aspects, such working conditions, to more general aspects, that production approach to business development. Environmental protection and occupational risk prevention are areas of common ground. Environmental protection favors a healthier working environment for workers in all senses of the word, thus linking the integration between the environment and health and safety. And what are the targets of the guide? The first premise we keep in mind when we developed the first draft of the guide was it has to have the same appearance of Vision Zero Health and Safety Guide, the same format, to make easier the people to implement the 2 guides at the same time, same simplicity of application, and because we think that this is of the success of Vision Zero initiative, and simple and understandable terms. The targets of the guide are so clear: to provide an accessible and easy tool to all organizations. We are including the small and medium companies because we believe that they are going to be the motor of this guide, to build solid environmental awareness and ownership and start an environmental culture similar to what we have get from Vision Zero, to encourage integration of E on the health and safety. And this is an absolute need for the organization because we are blending health and safety, social, with environmental operational efficiency, because we are talking about environment at work, and to have consistency with environment Vision Zero approach, replacing the zero incident focus with a zero impact on the environment. For that reason, because we want to have the same format of the Vision Zero Health and Safety Guide, the golden rules of OSH were similar to the environment hiddens, because we kept the seven points, and we try not to change the main reason or the main goals of each of the 7 golden rules. So the first 2, 3, they are in the same name but oriented to environmental. The 4th and the 5th were more properly oriented to environment, but 6th and 7th in the same way, they are invest in people, improve qualification, but with an environmental perspective. What is or what do we need to check or identify in our companies, on our business. We are going to find in the guide 3 parts. The first one is going to be the introduction, where they are going to give us the framework where we are going to have to work in our business. The second part that are the checklist with the 7 golden rules, and the 7 golden rules we have from OSH. And the third part is an annex where we can find the descriptions of what means environmental aspect, what is environmental impact, and what is an environmental risk assessment. And these 3 in the annex with these 3 definitions, we can implement the Vision Zero environmental guide rules without any problem, and we can implement at the same time of Vision Zero OSH, because the risk assessment could be the same, that only we have to implement the environmental protection inside. The concept is clear. If like Vision Zero health and safety, if that can be used both, but those companies that have not yet considered environment in their objective, and where they would be at the beginning of the ladder, or by those at the end who are already on the path to the circular economy, and this guide serves as a route for continuous improvement. It means that the goal of this Vision Zero guide, environment guide, is to go to the circular economy as one of the excellence to manage environment at work. But when you start at the beginning, you have to first realize which part of your company are affecting to the environment, and after you can go further step by step to get the circular economy. When you are in the top of the ladder, you can think, well, how can you improve your environmental management in your company, so you will improve in a better way every day. And now we are under review, as Helmut said. We hope that in the first quarter of 2022 we can launch, and we are under review. The guide is going to be reviewed by experts from the EHS sector, and that have deeply knowledge about Vision Zero initiative, because we believe that we'll have the main, as you know, the main success as Vision Zero OSH has said, and we will be like, 2022, the year of the environment comes to Vision Zero. That's all. Thank you very much, and I will wait for the questions. Thank you.
Iria, thank you much for your presentation. I think the message is clear. It's an advocacy to enrich the health and safety aspects by environmental issues. So I think it's something Helmut and others already spoke about. So it's a clear signal for all of us, and I think we can speak about it later in detail. What is your experience, etc.
Thank you very much.
But now we will see some more experience in the gold business. Therefore, I'm happy to introduce Peter Appel. Peter is a geologist from University of Copenhagen in Denmark. You have focused on small-scale gold mining in the last 10 years. Your main target has been to teach the miners to adopt a mercury-free gold extraction method invented in northern Philippines and used there in more than 30 South Lines small-scale gold miners. You have done that with a perfect team. You will present it later on, and your activities has been supported by Danish government, by the GIZ, the World Bank, Blacksmith, and UNEP. So we are happy to learn more about your special engagement, even with the hands-on activities. Peter, the floor is yours. Could you please put the microphone on? You have to scroll with the mouse to the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Great. Yeah, this is a presentation of mercury-free gold extraction for small-scale miners, as you said. There's an order of 60 million small-scale gold miners on this planet. They use mercury to recover gold, and therefore they contribute 37% of the global mercury pollution. So you can see it's quite serious. Fortunately, a clever small-scale miner 30 years ago in the Philippines invented a mercury-free gold extraction. The secret was that he make a gold concentrate, mix it with small amounts of borax. The mixture is heated, and the effect of borax is to reduce the melting point of the gold concentrate. The fact that mercury-free method recovers more gold than the traditional method caused it to spread like a bushfire in the mountainous part of northern Philippines, where it has been used for 30 years, more than 30 years, by 3,000 small-scale gold miners. So it's an obvious step to teach 60 million miners all over the world to use mercury-free extraction. Several international institutions, you have mentioned some of them, have supported it. And the teaching, these miners go on like this. Together with a team of Philippine small-scale miners, we go to an area where we want to teach the miners this mercury-free method. And we tell them that if they use that method, they will earn appreciably more gold, and they don't need to buy mercury, which is very, very expensive. And of course, the fringe benefit is that they are more healthy. When I tell them that, the miners look at me as I often look at my politicians who promise and promise and never fulfill. So now I will tell you how we teach them. We get, say, out in the bush, we get, say, 2 tons of gold ore. Then we mill it without mercury. Then we have the 2 tons milled. I split it in 2 heaps. And the local small-scale miners, they get 1 heap and process it with mercury. And we get the Filipino miners, they get the other heap and extract mercury without, extract gold without mercury. And the interesting thing is that we always recover more gold going mercury-free in the range 20 to 50% more gold, which should be attractive. One thing, I measure the weight of the gold, and then I measure the time, and the time was our process is about 10% longer. So this method has been successfully introduced on 3 continents, and several organizations have financed the introduction of the method worldwide. The Danish NGO Dialogus have implemented a mercury-free method with 3 to 6 year long projects in Philippines, Uganda, Mozambique, and Bolivia. The intervention included technical training of miners, of course, but also cooperation with municipalities, healthcare sector, schools, other civil organizations. And then there's an example in Philippines. We have been teaching, and that area have been mercury-free for 8 years. So that's a very big success. Another project in the Mozambique have stayed completely mercury-free for 3 years. So it is difficult to spread the news about this mercury-free method. So we made an educational video which lasts about 10 minutes. And it's the English and Spanish versions have been viewed by more than 2 million people. And we have 6 languages, English, Spanish, French, one of the Indonesian languages, and 2 African languages, Bemba and Swahili. And now I will ask you to show the video, play the video. Okay. Not very successful.
Give me a second. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Now you see. And could you hear it also?
Yes, Katerina, we can.
Nice, thank you.
In the Philippines, almost 300,000 small-scale gold miners struggle to survive. The work is hard, so why not get more gold out of it and make more money without using mercury? Because there is a better way to catch the gold. By using borax, you will get more gold, and you don't need to invest more money.
It is the same time to produce it with borax method, but the advantage is you get 50, 60, 70% more gold.
The borax method is environmentally benign, and it uses no mercury. Mercury is highly toxic and can make you and your family sick for generations to come. Using borax only requires a little practice, and you can learn it quickly.
This is manual. Instead of collecting gold from mercury, we do it this way. Many think that doing this panning is taking longer time, and they think that using mercury will take shorter time. But I think that the duration of time is almost the same.
Comes the gold. That means
Let's take a good look on how easy it is to get more gold. There are only a few steps that you need to learn. Do not add mercury in the rod mill. After the milling, the ore is sluiced down over a carpet. The carpet, made of felt, will catch all the heavy minerals like iron, copper, silver, and gold. The carpet is then washed carefully. You must add normal hand soap because it makes the gold sink to the bottom. If you do not use soap, you risk that some of the gold will be washed away with the water. Now the panning begins. The iron is removed with a simple magnet, wrapped in plastic. And here is another trick that will give you more gold.
I'm grinding the stuff so that it will be finer and easier to remove, while the gold will be left behind.
The gold is carefully collected in a small piece of plastic.
Next step is that you take your heavy mineral concentrate with lots of gold, put it in a small piece of plastic, add about the same amount of borax,
Now it is time to prepare for the cooking of the gold.
The cooking takes place exactly as in the mercury method, in a clay bowl, but here you sprinkle the clay bowl with borax.
This is to put grease into it and to prevent, if ever, it from cracking. If it does, the borax will hold the gold and it will not get lost. We do it this way. First, you put this pipe on. I will use this to control the air. The gold might be blown from the sides of the clay and it will be scattered around.
You can also use a blowtorch to cook the mixture of borax and gold.
Now I put borax just the same.
After heating the clay bowl, simply add borax.
Now I need to add charcoal to increase the heat.
Within a short while, the borax will melt in the clay bowl.
It's just to check the efficiency of the clay, if it will crack. And now I will put in the gold.
The process will only take around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the amount of gold. And there it is, pure gold, without the use of mercury. Mercury makes you and your family sick for generations, and mercury destroys the nature. So start using borax, get cleaner and more gold, and make more money.
Yeah, can you still hear my voice?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just say this is very technical, but it is meant that small-scale miners actually can do it. Following that, I had once a job in, I've forgotten which country in Africa it was, and they said, could you come down here in December and teach us? And I said, no, that is Christmas month, so it's not very good. But then I said, try to watch this video, and actually a group of miners, they learned it from that video. So it can be done, and it has been used by many people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Peter, thank you much for sharing your thoughts and also the video with us. I'm convinced there will be a lot of questions and comments on borax and on
Yes.
mercury itself. So we will have it after Ricardo's presentation.
Yeah.
And let me give some words on Ricardo's CV. Ricardo is an industrial engineer. He is a Master of Science in Occupational Health and Safety and another Master of Science in Ergonomics. Ricardo is doctoral candidate at the University of Politécnica de Catalunya in Spain. He has developed several positions in the OSH management system, mainly in construction and in the mining sector. Ricardo is an advisor for the Council of ISA Mining and chair the ISA's mining working group on responsible mining. Ricardo will give us some perspectives where ISA Mining should go in the question of responsible mining, and I think that perfectly fits to the video we have seen before, Ricardo. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Joachim. What else can I say? I would like to express my gratitude to all the previous speakers. I think they have pointed out a great introduction for my presentation today, as they have said the main highlights on Vision Zero and responsible mining, from research, tools, compliance, and technology. I will be very brief in my presentation to tell you about our working group on Vision Zero implementation and responsible mining. It will be much more an invitation rather than a technical presentation. So let me share my screen with you. Can you see it now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, I'm having technical problems.
Shall I share it for you, Ricardo? Are you here?
I think he left.
I think he's rejoining.
Yeah.
So if you have already the presentation on your computer, Helmut,
I have it.
yeah, perhaps you could join it, that if the problem still exists on Ricardo's computer, he just can comment on your presentation.
Yeah. Let's see when he comes back.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, you are back.
I'm very sorry, my internet connection fell down.
Can you
so
share or shall I share for you?
No, I can share it now.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's working now.
Okay.
I'm very sorry for that. So I am representing the working group 3 of ISA Mining Advisory Council on implementation and responsible mining. My name is Ricardo Fiemeister, and I will be delightful to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. So we organized as a small working group on the Advisory Council. Our objectives are to aim for a responsible future for global mining. Our primary objectives are to promote and assess the implementation of Vision Zero, to point out responsible mining, to promote our mindset towards safety, health, and well-being culture through Vision Zero. Then our question is what can be done to make members and companies more active using the Vision Zero strategy, and how to use more widely the leading indicators, which is a project from ISA Mining, and link them with responsible mining. Our main perspectives are, of course, responsible mining, the use of the 3P model of corporate social responsibility. That means focus on people, planet, and profit. The use of the Vision Zero strategy and its framework, and of course, the use of experience from industry. We are engaging this endeavor by engaging 2 main perspectives, 2 branches. The first one, of course, is the implementation of Vision Zero and the state of the art of the implementation of the strategy by companies. And the second one is to address the trends and recommendations of responsible mining. And in between, of course, the question is how can we enhance the prevention culture on organizations, no matter the size of them. So we would like to use the Vision Zero as a framework for developing the strategy, use the Vision Zero leading indicators, gather and publish case studies from a selection of companies for the people to understand what is the reality and how the companies are engaged in this strategy. Next is to deliver surveys and benchmarks to develop tools for assessment, for instance, Vision Zero guidelines, and to invite companies to share their practices. Use the supply chain toolset, which Helmut, I guess, he referred to this focus, and the Vision Zero leading indicators in companies as well. Next is to overlap leading indicators with decent jobs and safety culture. And at the end, to highlight the responsible and sustainable mining with a well-being perspective. So we want to do this not only in the ISA mining sector, but also join with other sectors as construction and electricity. So the expected outcomes of our working group and our work is to set a global picture of the implementation of Vision Zero and of trends of sustainable mining. Then to include the environment and communities in the prevention concept. This is the 3P model, people, planet, and profit. And to get together with other ISA sections, construction and electricity, via a common view. and to build reports based on business cases and surveys. So my invitation is to join us. We are very open to have all contributions coming from experience of companies or experts as well. So you can write me directly to get instructions on how to join us in the future. Thank you very much, Joachim.
Yeah, Ricardo, thank you much for your very precise and short presentation. I think we have now enough time to speak about all the presentations. And let me perhaps start with one question in the chat. That is from Pierre de Pascal addressed to Peter Appel. Pierre is asking, and a statement upfront, borax is classified as a toxic and potential endocrine disruptor by the European Union since 2008. Canada also considers it as potentially harmful since 2016. I've no doubt it's less harmful than mercury, but does it mean there is no Vision Zero compatible way to process gold at all? So I think it's a very good description of the kind of conflict you're having, Peter, by speaking about borax, but perhaps you can give us some more background on it. Please put the microphone on, Peter.
Here we are. Am I on?
Yes.
Yeah. I have come across that question frequently, and in Dialogos, which is one of the groups I am in, there are several medical doctors, and we discussed it, and we realized that it is not the best solution. It's not a good solution, but it's the best solution, because we have this massive mercury pollution of people and of our planet. And the amount of borax which is used is very, very small. And for instance, I was teaching at a university on Java, Indonesia, some time ago, and from the audience, I got the same question or comment, and funnily enough, I was told that it is very frequent in Indonesia to use borax in cooking. Particularly when they boil their rice, they add a few grams or whatever in the cooking water. And I said, yeah, well, you seem to multiply very well still. So it's not a good excuse, but I think comparing with the mercury danger we have with this massive release of mercury, it is worthwhile to use borax.
I think that was the clear message. This reduction of mercury, and that doesn't impact only the workers there. It impacts the environment, it impacts of really all of us. So maybe that's the lever behind it, behind your process. And what's getting clear to me, having seen your 4 presentations, is there's no clear picture, perhaps, between all of us, what is responsible mining. So your view is clear, Peter, yeah? Pierre has an approach with the Responsible Mining Index by this research on public domain, really. And Ricardo is speaking another way on responsible mining. So it starts perhaps there to get a better picture. What do we understand by responsible mining? Is it the approach of continuous improvement? Is it to hit a certain benchmark? Is it to use the big lever like Peter described? So I think there are a lot of questions behind if we like to improve. Where do we like to improve? What is our understanding of responsible mining? And perhaps, Pierre, you could perhaps give us some more background on your index. What are the target groups? Are there certain, what I would say, target groups? What are the principles behind that you can benchmark these kind of huge companies? And I'm still looking in the blog. Sorry for interrupting you. I'm looking in the blog if there are occurring other questions. So please, if you have questions, raise them in the blog, and then we will bring them to the public domain here. No?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Joachim, and I think you're raising a very good question, which I think was the starting point for the Responsible Mining Foundation to even exist. That the term responsible mining, this terminology had been used for almost 30 years without a clear definition. And when we started looking into this, we realized that I think 95% of these initiatives, standards, norms that were using the term responsible mining had been developed by the industry itself, or by investors, or by multi-stakeholder initiatives, where companies had a very prominent role in the power plays and in the decision making. So that was really our intent to say, can we have a society version of a responsible mining framework? And we did very intense, extensive literature review, taking some of the most important standards, norms like the UN Guiding Principles, the ILO conventions, but also regional, specific standard like the Africa Mining Vision, some of the Asian standards, some of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce standards. And then we held really a lot of consultations and workshops, making sure we would meet not only with NGOs, civil society, and local governments, but also with mine workers, trade unions, with herders, farmers, women's organizations, youth group. And we put together this framework. But I think really the critical part was, as Helmut mentioned when he talked about a Vision Zero, how do you make this accessible to a large number of stakeholders, companies, people, in using practical language that will speak to everyone? And I think we managed to do it. The problem we have now is because mining is so complex and there's so many issues you should be looking at if you want to do a good job. We've had a number of mining affected communities and mine workers and labor unions telling us, okay, great, you do the Responsible Mining Index every 2 years. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of data points we have. We have this very sophisticated website in all languages. And they say, but can you put this on one page? No graphs? And it can make you laugh, but you sort of, okay, if we want to change the system and make mining more responsible everywhere for everybody, then we have to do this. And so we started developing simpler tool. And I think having the Vision Zero, each principle, a checklist, one page is just great. So we need to aim for more of these simple, easy to understand, easy to use tool. I don't know if it's a good answer, but it's some elements to reflect on. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Then Helmut has a comment.
Yes, if you allow me, so thank you very much for this insight, Peter. And I must say, you are here in our summit as a kind of representative. Maybe you are a member of the ICO MINOSH session, so ICO International Commission of Occupational Health, and we try to connect better, to speak more with one voice. I think this is one challenge we have, also to cooperate with the Responsible Mining Foundation and others. And I mean, this example, this video shows the difference between paperwork of the ILO convention and reality. And I must say, I met those guys for the first time at a mining conference in Odense in Denmark.
Exactly.
And the people, the guys presented, and they said it's the first time that professionals recognize that we are there. And I think this is the challenge. So normally we talk about the big ICMM mining companies, and or we have this very good approaches like we heard from Progresso, but there is such a huge range in between. And if we listen to the figures, Peter mentioned 60 million small-scale miners. I think some call them illegal miners or informal miners. And I think we are not allowed to forget those human beings, and we must do as good as we can, but it's a challenge. How can we reach out to them, and what can we offer to them? They don't have an office where they can have a computer-based training program or something. They have maybe their smartphone available, and this must work. So I think it is a challenge on our agenda, maybe for this working group as well. And I'm very grateful that we can rise the topic and become a little bit aware. We start just to become aware. I mean, the experts see in the videos a lot of other issues, not only what is still not perfect or not good, not only the borax, use of borax, but we have also the principle how to make prevention. So the first is of course to substitute dangerous substances by not dangerous ones. But if we cannot, then the next principle is to substitute by less dangerous components or chemicals. And I think this is the way to go. There is no switch to guarantee from bad conditions to Vision Zero. It's always a process. And I think we have to work and to start the work. And we need a concept how we can train, how we can reach out to those huge amount of people, and they are human beings and they have families, and this is nothing to blame those people. They just want to survive and to create some food for their families. So this is what I have in mind watching that video.
May I comment?
Of course.
Yeah. You see, the methods of mercury-free, that is very fine, and it works, and they are very happy. And then sometimes when you come back, they have switched back, and you ask, why did you do that? Because you earn more money, and it's not toxic. And then, well, you know, it takes some time, and then they say, well, the gold, the mercury sellers, they are very unhappy that we don't buy mercury anymore. And, you know, then they have problems, and then there's the gold dealers, and there's this triangle where you have left a place, and they are very happy that we have taught them, and next year I came and they were still happy, and then suddenly they switched back again, and they said, well, and it appeared that it was the mercury sellers who got very uneasy because they lost income. So it is uphill in all respects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was very fruitful to see these different views, really, from Pierre and from you.
Yeah.
That really makes a good discussion here, and it shows what kind of challenge we have in front of us on a world scale.
And we have to teach so many people.
Yeah, really.
Thank you.
So I've got no questions in the chat. Therefore, I'm raising perhaps some questions also to Mireia. Mireia, I think you advocated to include the environmental aspects in Vision Zero or in health and safety. Do you have some case studies, you know, where you say, oh, that worked very well, or that's some hurdles we have to overcome?
Thank you for the question, Joaquin. Yes, we are now in transcripting because, as I said, the working group, it's people coming from the industry that they have a lot of experience in the EHS. So we are going to put some examples at once the final draft is decided and reviewed by the expert. So we will include some examples just to be useful as a guide. For example, we can say if in NISA mining, for example, if any little mining installations, where you are talking about the borax and about the mercury, you can take in account that this water, if they are not taking in account the clean of the water pollution, they will affect to the people in these sites. So we have many examples in the industry, in the emissions of the pollution air. If you don't clean the air with the filters and so on, with the chimneys, then we'll have, there are studies that show us that we have problems with the breath of the people. So there are many examples that come together with health and safety and well-being, that if you introduce the environmental aspect in your business control, you will improve the well-being of your workers.
Yeah. Okay. That's clear. There's another question rising to you, it's from Pierre. Does circular economy relate to how mining products are used in the economies downstream, for example, copper, steel, etc., or to how mining companies can reduce their consumption of goods and production of waste and recycle, reuse equipment, or both?
Well, actually, the circular economy, you know, we are at the beginning. The circular economy, it's so implemented in the construction sector, and there are products. About mining, we have a split field to discover and to investigate on them. But the mining companies, their main point, first, I think they have to manage the environmental aspect in the first base, and after they can improve to the circular economy. We have to take in account that copper, steel, as Pierre said in the question, you can reduce the consumption of this kind of materials, but the main point of the circular economy is to reuse, recycle, and reutilize. So maybe in some way, the industrial mining or the sector mining should improve and develop their new business in the ways of recycling, reuse, and so on. Because we have to take in account that mining is, you know, a sector that it's with a finished, they are raw materials and they have a finished deadline of being there. So it's a kind of must think in the mining sector where they must go in the future.
Okay.
I think it's so clear. Or
yeah, it was a challenging question, and the answer was also you know, saying it's both. I would say it's both. Really, in their supply chain, think about what could be improved, but also the question of how can it be recycled and reused. Yeah,
this is the main point of circular economy. Yeah.
And maybe I can add one point. I had 2 days ago a conversation with a guy in Australia who is working for a mining supplier, and they develop all the technology to make mining, yeah, from the technological point of view, CO2 neutral and all of this. So all this electrical stuff and hydrogen use and all of this. So a lot of issues are going on in that times.
Okay, so that's another aspect on CO2 also.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I've no questions in the chat so far. Are there any other comments somebody like to raise or questions? I think that is not the case so far. Helmut, do you like to close the session?
Yes, thank you very much for being our moderator for the session number 2, Joachim. And again, I must say it was a long afternoon, and I think we had the chance to have a big variety of really excellent speakers amongst us and listen to them and view to the slides and to the pictures. So I must say, for me, it was really inspiring. It worked quite well. We are on time. I cannot remember that I attended such a conference being in that perfect time management like this summit. So thank you to all of you. And so I think have a safe and have a nice evening or afternoon or even morning, wherever you are in the world. And my final word is, please come back tomorrow, same time, but you have to use a different link to come in to join the Zoom account, but we send it to all of you. And I hope that everybody comes back tomorrow, because tomorrow we have another excellent program and different new other perspectives, which shows us the needs and the topics for the future. So thank you very much. And I think we can close the meeting now by saying this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Helmut.
And Glück auf,
Thank you.
as the Germans say.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye
Auf
bye.
Wiedersehen.
Auf
Thank you.
Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hello, Sven Tim. Have you been here all the time?
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Shorpat.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf
Goodbye,
Wiedersehen.
Africa.
Bye-bye, and thank you from Eric.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Gracias a todos.
Jaime,
Hola, Ricardo.
¿cómo estás?
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Yes. Let's stay in contact.
Okay, I
Yes,
think I
please.
close now
Congratulations.
the meeting.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Helmut, shall we stay 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can. We can stay 5 minutes, but then I have to make a walk with the dog.
Okay.
He's waiting already.
He's waiting already.
But okay, I stay another 5 minutes.
Katerina, you still there? Yes, you are.
I'm here.
So thank you all. Thanks, Helmut, for all
Yeah,
your work.
Alexandra,
done.
hello. How are you?
Yes, I was here for cool time, so but muted,
Yes, I
as
made,
indicated on the beginning.
thank you very much. I hope you
Great
like
work. Thanks once again, and see you tomorrow. Yes.
it. Yes, tomorrow, another 3 hours.
Okay.
Thank
Excellent.
you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, Ricardo, what You have
No, I wanted to say that I think we had a very successful evening. We had at the beginning more than 150 attendants. And the second session we had 120 people attending.
Yeah.
So I think we have to send an email perhaps with Katerina to remind the assistants to attend tomorrow, because we don't want to have a lower number of persons.
No.
attending.
Yeah. Can you do it, Katarina?
So just send all registered people, just reminding email.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tomorrow we will continue with
Right now or tomorrow morning?
as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because some go to sleep and
I'm
whoever
with the dog.
people are. Yeah.
Someone has to go to the dog for a walk
Exactly.
too. So, yes.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, Benjamin, how are you?
Fine, fine, Helmut. How are you also?
Oh, great. Yeah, we have a terrible situation in Germany, but good to see you in good health.
Well, we are facing also the pandemic problems now in Peru, you know.
Yeah.
And well, we are fighting a lot against COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
In the mines
too.
also it's a big problem.
Yeah, we as well. Yeah. Okay, so we send out the reminder email and everything else. I will try to send you the recordings later, but I think it's really huge files, and I first have to
Yes.
to transfer them or anything. I must press a button. And,
Yes.
and I send them to you as soon as possible, I think by WeTransfer.
Yes, please do. And I will try to edit the video so I can try to cut them session by session, or at
Yeah.
least presentation by presentation. I think it's going to be tricky, but I will try, of course.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
No,
now?
I think for now everything is set.
Yeah. Good. So I thank you very much to all of you, and I think it was really it ran perfect. It ran smoothly, and okay, we have to help Lee for tomorrow, Katarina. Huh?
It's almost done.
Almost done. Good. I offered him to take over maybe the moderation for the Lyme Association Awards. I got a message that the president maybe cannot speak by himself because he is obviously in quarantine in UK. But somebody will replace him. So, okay.
Okay.
See you later or tomorrow
See you.
morning. Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care a lot.
Yeah. Same to you. Thanks.